Today, let's talk financial advising, retirement and tax strategy. Where to put your money, the good, the bad, and the ugly. 'Cause today will help you build your legacy with the fly on the wall. Fly on the wall. Fly on the wall.
Welcome back, everybody. It's New Year. I would like to say new us, but
New Year,
Same
same
old
old
us.
me. Yeah.
I tried to get Emma to do the intro, and she said she was like, no, I'm not doing it. So maybe your New Year's resolution, Emma, needs to be like, get out of your comfort zone, do new things, try the intro for the podcast. We believe in you.
My intro would probably be better, more funny.
Yeah, I agree. You're up
She
next
just
time.
like
So
sit there.
you
and
heard
look
her,
pretty.
folks. Funny.
But you
All
guys
right,
have
but we are discussing new year, new goals. I don't really do resolutions. I don't know. You guys do any New Year's resolutions?
Nope. I resolute to be the same old mean, crotchety old lady that I am.
I like it. Emma, I know. What did you send the other day? Something about sorry if I was mean to you. You tried to do better, so I don't have to do that again this year.
Yeah.
Yep. I put that up on my Instagram about 3 weeks ago.
I feel like you guys might be the same person, which makes me laugh.
Just a little.
Maybe.
Yeah. Okay, so no New Year's resolutions for us, but it is a good time of year to set new goals and think about like what went well last year, maybe what didn't, especially as we're talking financial goals. So I like using January as like a reset, right? Like let's review things last year, assess the current situation, let's look at the good, the bad, the ugly, and just what do we want to change? And sometimes I think it's good to look at when we think finances, we're either thinking too short term or we're thinking too long term, right? And we've got to really think about a balance of both. And that can be hard. So that's what we're going to talk about today.
I will say one of the worst things going to work for you has been watching.
Okay.
No, I love it.
It's a list.
But
You have a list?
for my anxiety,
One of.
the fact
One
that
of
I
the many.
can monitor my account, like I think way too short term. And like I'll look at it one day and I go, and then I look at it one day and I go, yay! And that long term.
You're talking about your investment account, like watching the ups and downs. Yeah.
Yeah. Just
So obviously when you have a long time for your retirement accounts, like Brad and I used to be the same way. When we were younger, he would watch our 401ks every day. I would never look at it and he would get excited. And I'm like, what are you excited about? It doesn't matter because we have 30 more years. Whatever our gains are, it's going to be all over the place between now and then. So it's definitely, I think, a personality thing.
Yeah.
Some people have to look at it every day and you get really excited about the highs and you get really down about the lows. And then there's some of us that are just like, I know it's going to be a roller coaster. So until we get a little closer, I'm not going to get too excited either way.
Yeah.
So,
and that's kind of what I need. I need to just not when I'm doing stuff for you. Also go, oh, I wonder how. But it also leads into this, like understanding the markets.
Yeah.
We're looking at some changes, right?
Yeah. So that's where I think we have to look at the balance, right? Not just stick our head in the sand and say, well, I can't control anything. And I've got retirement feels for some of us like so far out in the future. It's hard to maybe stay motivated or disciplined or even think about what kind of impact can I have. Or I focus so much on short term that it's like I'm getting so wrapped up in budgets and trying to save money or do XYZ that also feels like, how is this really impacting me long term? So when we think about the financial structure, we think short, mid, long-term goals. Short term, think about what you want to hit. Like short-term goals. So I don't know, you guys throw something out. Like if we're thinking the next year or so, what do you think most people have in mind for like, okay, if I'm thinking about my goals for 2025, what do I want to do?
I think
Vacation.
oh, sorry.
Sorry. No, go
No,
ahead,
go ahead.
Emma.
No, you're good.
Nope.
Come
You're
on, Em, you
talking.
hardly ever speak. What were you
No,
going to say?
sister.
I would say kids my age probably are looking to max out their Roths.
Yeah.
Something
I
short-term.
think that's a good one. Or they should be. Or if they're, I mean, even something as small as that, like that's a really good point, Emma, because when you're young and you're thinking about like, well, what little things can I do? Maxing out a Roth when you're young and you have all those years of compounding can make such a big difference, even though it may not feel like it. You know, just something as simple as what can I contribute monthly? Margo, you said vacation, which
Just because Haven, right before he left right now to go back to college, he goes, "Hey, Japan, 2025 is the cheapest cheapest time to go." It's like, early Japan. Okay.
I bet Japan is the cheapest. I mean, what compared to what? I don't know. I
He's
like his
just an
mindset
anime
though.
nerd. So,
Yeah.
but I was like,
Well,
how do I pay for Japan?
but it is that you should think about like, all right, what are my short-term goals? What kinds of things do I want the freedom to be able to go do? And it shouldn't be at the expense of your long-term goals, right? So thinking about what good things did I do last year? Maybe what things did I not do so well? And there's always things that we can do better. I mean, always things that we can do better. I was talking to, I don't know, we were all sitting around eating the other day and Ashton said, isn't mom a financial advisor when we were talking about like budgeting for a ski trip? And he was like, why do we need to talk about this? Isn't this what you do? And I'm like, but you still have to make a plan. Like if we want to go skiing and we're going to take all these people, like we still want to be intentional so we don't derail something else in order to do it.
Yeah.
So what I would recommend if you're looking at 2025, is there something short term? Do you have a wedding to pay for? Do you have a vacation that you want to go on? Are you maxing out your Roths? Like set a short-term goal for what needs to happen this year. Why are you laughing, Emma? You're not
Dad's
getting married
standing
and
outside-
hiding it, are
Dad's
you?
standing outside my window making dance moves. Sorry.
Who is?
Dad.
Ah, new
I tried-
office.
I
And Brad
tried
is so
not to look.
distracting.
I tried to not look. But he was just really.
You never know what's going to happen here.
You never know with Brad.
I would like to see those dance moves. That'd probably get us
Yeah.
some more viewers if we could get Dad
Yeah.
on here dancing. Okay. So then long-term goals. One of the things that I would say looking at is first, you got to think about what phase of your financial life you're in. We usually think about this in 3 phases. There's the accumulation phase, like that's younger people. It's I'm still working. I'm still really focused on just putting away money, right? Then there's the protection phase. That's that 10-year window before and after retirement, where now maybe I'm not so focused on getting double-digit returns and socking away money, but protecting what I've already built. So now I've got this solid nest egg. I really need to focus on preservation. And there's the I'm retired. I no longer have a steady paycheck coming in. Now I have to take this nest egg and I have to turn it into a paycheck for myself for the rest of my life. That's the distribution phase. So one, you got to really know what phase you're in and be intentional and think about what we should be worried about. Number one, what we want to avoid. So accumulation. Emma, you touched on it with the Roths, but what other kind of accounts do we need to look at? I mean, there's employer accounts.
Contributory. Yeah. Your 401k, your non-qualified.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And sometimes I think we throw out terms and I don't realize that other people don't talk in that verbiage, but non-qualified is just after tax, right? So it's your after tax account. It's just your, hey, maybe I've already maxed out what I can do in my 401k. I've put things away in my Roth. So your non-qualified account would just be money like, hey, it was sitting in my checking account. I'm going to take that and I'm going to invest with it. And it's important to look at what types of accounts are we accumulating? We've talked about tax diversification a ton, but that comes back to knowing where am I putting my money? Am I maximizing the match I get from an employer? Am I diversifying from a tax standpoint? And then I think you also have to think about, like, do I own a business? Do I have, am I an entrepreneur? Am I a farmer? Do I have some self-employment income? Because that opens up a whole other world of opportunity for how can you defer taxation? How do you get a tax deduction? How do you put more money away for yourself? But you've got to know what phase am I in? What are my opportunities? And am I missing something, right? You got to know what your options are. So that's number one. What about I mean, we all have people, not us. We're not in the distribution phase, but think about the people that you know in retirement, like our parents or grandparents or aunts, uncles. I mean, what do you think the biggest concern there is?
Running out of money.
Yeah, I think so.
I mean, I would think inflation probably hit you pretty darn hard if you were one of those retirees over the last few years.
Yeah, I think that's a big one, is maybe not thinking about, did I account for inflation enough, right? So if I'm planning on, when I retire, I need $4,000 a month or $2,500 a month, based on what things cost when you retired, or what things are going to cost 10 years after you retire. So not taking into account inflation, I think, is a big mistake people make in the distribution phase. So adjusting not just your contributions now, right, but your distributions. Are my distributions set to maintain that account balance? Or, like you said, am I going to worry about running out of money? Also, where are you taking the money from? Like, if all I have is money that's in the market and I'm in the distribution phase and I have to take money when the market's down, well, then I'm just digging myself a hole, right? Market's already down. Then I take my income, I'm digging this hole. It makes it a lot harder to bounce back out of it.
Yeah.
So, and Em, you talk a lot about Medicare. I mean, think about the Medicare people that you work with. If I take a 401k withdrawal and that's taxable money, that has to count towards income, which does what?
Raises your Medicare cost.
Raises your Medicare. Yeah. I mean, it makes everything, raises your potentially your Social Security taxation, your Medicare premiums. There's this spiral that if I'm not being intentional in setting goals, like, what do I want to avoid? What do I want to happen? What are the things that could derail it? I think that's really important. So accumulation, distribution, what are the things that could take me off track? And how do I set goals to be intentional with that would be something that I think is really important. And then Margaret, you said, well, markets are getting ready to change. Why do you, I mean, I think that's probably a little bit of like consumer fear, right? Like,
yeah. And I'm probably, you know, me with, I don't know, I'm a worst case scenario planner person. So I get freaked out with that, and just, you know, political changes, what that's going to do, you know, higher tariffs, is that going to make market fluctuations go? I think I've just been so excited with how well my investments have done. I know I can't ride that train forever. That's not how it works. So I'm in the freak out, and I know I need to quit looking and just ride the ride. But yeah.
Well, it's emotional. I mean, that's the biggest mistake that people make. And so having a strategy going into 2025, so we got to think about where we're at. We are coming off of 2 back-to-back years of 20% plus with, and when we say the market, right, people just say the market, we're really talking about like the S&P 500 is usually what we're talking about, which is large US stocks. There's a lot of other things we invest in, but if we're just talking about like US stocks, we're 2 back-to-back years of 20% plus. I saw a statistic the other day from our money managers, and I think it was, if it was 26% plus, that's something that's only happened 2 other times in the last 100-year history. So then I might think, oh my gosh, what's the chances we're going to have 3 years in a row that are like that? And now I want to, you know, go into like 2025 with a scarcity mindset. Still, that's probably not the route to go, right? That's emotional based investing. I'm scared. I don't think we can sustain this. I'm going to get too conservative. But you can stay too greedy, right? Also, so there's a balance there. And I think the key is we're coming off 2 years really strong. Most people are probably overpaced of their long-term goals, right? We're really conservative when we set goals for our clients. We assume like worst case scenario, what if the markets only do 6%? So if we have people that are up 25, 30, 35, 40 over the last couple of years, then rebalance those accounts. Take some gains off the table, rebalance, get in line with your risk tolerance, readjust what you have kind of put aside as more of your safe money and what you have set aside for like your long-term growth money. That would be the biggest thing I would recommend doing going into a year where you're like a little unsure of, can we really do this 3 years in a row? Rebalance.
Yeah.
And I think if you look at Gradient Investments market commentary, so our team of money managers, you'll see the theme in some of their writing for 2025 is bring an umbrella. So the bring an umbrella mindset, I think, gives a good visual, kind of like, you know, if you're going somewhere and you think it might rain, it's sunny out now, might it rain? Well, I might bring an umbrella just in case, right?
Yeah.
Same kind of thing with the markets, which is how we position most portfolios in. Let's look at your short, mid, long-term goals. Let's make sure you're rebalanced. So if we have a bunch of gains, we've rebalanced you so you're not overweighted with now all of that is still at risk. And let's give some kind of layer of protection with a portion of your portfolio that no matter what happens, we've got a buffer against loss or an opportunity to earn money when the markets are up or down. That's kind of what we mean by bring an umbrella, is, you know, going back to diversification and not having all your eggs in one basket. But what I see happen to people is they ride this market. They don't make any adjustments. And it's like on paper, I had all these gains and I just leave it there. I just let it sit there until market dips and I'm just on this roller coaster. And if you're super young, for you, you know, it's probably not that big of a deal. But Margot, for you and I think it's, even if we're 10, 15 years out from retirement, it's probably still smart to let's do a little rebalancing. Let's lock in some of those gains and go after it again.
Is it 2 years to recover every year? I forget what I read somewhere.
Well, there's a math that goes along with it, which is it compounds, right? So it's like if you look at
so then it's even more than 2.
Yeah.
Isn't it? Yeah.
So it's like if you lose X amount and so like what we usually show is, okay, well, what if we lost 10%? What would we have to earn? So, well, what if the markets did 3? What if it did 5? What if it did 10? Then how many years would it take to get back to 0? It's crazy how that extends. Like, yeah. So that math is more
I
than
think
I can do
that's
in my
what
head.
I looked at too, that I was like, okay, I'm right at the age where it's like, oh, I can taste retirement because I'm a teacher and I'm getting too old for this. But then I'm also like, I don't know if I've been a teacher and now I'm too poor. So
yeah, it's be intentional with your plan, adjust as needed. Like, don't let emotions drive it, but you still want to be aware. One of the things that I thought was interesting is you would think a lot of people are going to be, you know, thinking we're never going to do this 3 years in a row, right? Like markets have been great. I don't think we can do it 3 years in a row. If you look historically speaking, those times where we did have really strong back-to-back years of 20% plus, the third year was still an average of 12.3% return. So you're still talking double digits.
That made me feel better.
So it's, if you look historically speaking, and of course we don't know what it's going to do next year, but it's not like, oh, we had 2 years in a row and the third year what you just got clobbered. But it's like, let's bring an umbrella, plan for a worst case scenario for a portion, but don't let emotions drive it. Be intentional and rebalance your accounts, adjust your retirement contributions, know where your distributions are coming from, and don't make the mistake of not knowing where you're pulling them from or how the taxes impact you. If the markets do take a hit this year and you don't have any other place to pull money from other than the money that's fluctuating. That's not a good place to be. So now is the time to like set goals and look at, okay, what are some of the things that could take me off track? And are there some decisions and some things that I could do right now that help me avoid that? That's kind of what we think about when we talk about setting goals for the new year. So not necessarily like you got to set these big resolutions and you got to totally revamp your spending habits and your saving habits, but small things really add up if you have goals in mind.
Sounds like a plan. We can always see those PCRs, right? Portfolio change request.
Yeah. I mean, that's what we're here for. So we're the ones that are watching it. We're paying attention. If you're one of our clients and we're rebalancing for you, that's automatically done, like within your plan. One of the things that I think for people that have non-qualified accounts, so this is your after-tax money, one of the things that a lot of individuals don't watch would be the taxation of that. People forget, I got 20% returns back to back. On a non-qualified account, you don't get tax deferral. That's reported as taxable gains. It has to be. So yes, we want higher returns, but it also is impacting your taxes. Going into a portfolio where you're in a tax efficient portfolio, and that's really the focus of the money managers, might be a key thing, which we can do. So just knowing what you're trying to accomplish, knowing your situation, knowing here are the things that I'd like to see happen next year. Here are the things that I'm worried could take me off track. That's where I'd start. Have goals in mind, take advantage of all opportunities, and then adjust as needed.
Makes
New Year
sense
feels
to
like the
me.
best time to do it, right?
Yeah.
Even if you're somebody that hates resolutions.
Oh.
January is a good time for a reset. So I would say if you've got any questions on it, if you need help like thinking through what opportunities do I have, I think we mentioned this in our newsletter that went out. I don't know if we've talked about it on the podcast, but our tax specialists are going to be in our office once a month. Emma, you've got, what are the dates for January that they're coming in?
The 20th, 21st, and 22nd.
So those appointments fill up pretty quickly, but that is a great additional service that our clients can have access to. Or if you're not our client yet, but you think, hey, that's something that I'd like to check out, they'll be here once a month, usually for a couple days per month. Those appointments fill up fast, but I don't think there's any better resource than to have your financial advisor and your tax professional on the same page. Like that's what you want, right? Is not to have one of them saying, well, I don't know, ask the other one. That's not really my bucket. You ideally want them coordinating your plan together. And our tax team is phenomenal. They are sharp and they can look at your individual situation and say, well, have you considered this? Have you thought about this? Did you know this opportunity was there? So that's especially impactful, I think, for people that are business owners or have any kind of self-employment income, as you've got a lot more opportunities. So call Emma if you want those appointment slots. She'll hook you up.
There you go.
All right. Anything I forgot? Anything we want to talk about for New Year's? Maybe we want to set our own resolutions just as like a...
I mean, I need to be figuring out ways to distribute, this fat, but I'm not going to do those. I'm just going to, New Year, same old me.
Yeah, I like it. Emma, New Year's resolution. You said you can do an intro. That's better.
Oh, no.
Next podcast. Yeah, that's your...
I like it.
I won't be here next time.
All right, close us out, Em. Today. Do the
Bye,
close.
guys.
You can't just peace sign out.
That's what my generation
What if somebody's
does.
listening and they're not watching? They didn't see.
And they heard me say, bye, guys.
They're just going to be like, where'd they go?
Peace out. See ya 2 weeks.
2 weeks. All right. We'll be back.
All
Thanks
right.
everybody for listening. See you next time.
See ya.
That wraps up another episode of the Fly on the Wall podcast. Join us next time as we continue the conversations and bringing you behind the scenes in the world of finance. And don't forget to stay connected with us on your favorite social media platforms and subscribe wherever you're listening to podcasts so you don't miss an episode. And we will see you next time.
All matters discussed during this show are for informational purposes only. Opinions expressed are solely those of Iron Horse Financial Services and staff. All topics covered are believed to be from reliable sources. However, Iron Horse Financial Services makes no representations as to its accuracy or completeness. This commercial shall in no way be construed as a solicitation to sell securities or advisory services to residents of any other state other than Kansas or otherwise permitted. Topics should be discussed with your financial advisor prior to implementation. Advisory services offered through Iron Horse Financial Services, a registered investment advisor in the state of Kansas. Insurance products and services are offered through Iron Horse Retirement, an affiliated company. Iron Horse Financial Services and Iron Horse Retirement are not affiliated with or endorsed by the Social Security Administration or any other government agency.